So the big story today is how the Ukrainian army actually deleted three Russian helicopters and a Russian radar system. This was done by the Russian Special Forces. Here we are seeing the actual video. The warriors from the DI Ukraine struck three enemy Mi-8 multi-purpose helicopters, as well as an expensive Russian 55ZH-6U Nebo radar. And so this is just drone footage going as their drones are coming right onto the base and blowing up the helicopters. They did three of them and a radar system. So there's another and there's another. Yep. And so I like it. It's just the asymmetry of this is fascinating to behold. Okay. Now, what's the Mi-8? The Mi-8 is a versatile twin-engine Soviet-era medium transport helicopter, first introduced in 1967, carries troops or cargo, and supports a variety of military and civilian missions. All right, so again, the first Mi-8 at Simferopol International Airport. This is roughly 100 meters from the Mi-8 hit last month by the same Ukrainian unit. Okay, so that's with that. Another bad day for Russian artillery as these things keep getting targeted as well. Again, drones are significant. Now, what happened with the hits last night? 61% of drones were shot down. I'll show you like how many there were. That's terrible, but it was a smaller number. The other night, the night before last, this was like the sixth, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, so the highest was here, second highest, like just look at the chart here, and then it's a horse race between these four, but I think this would be the third highest one, and then the fourth, fifth, and sixth, or maybe this one is, fifth. I don't know, but it's in the top 5 or 6 strikes. What happened not last night, but the night before last. Russia must feel the consequences of what it is doing, says Zelensky. Right now, we are defending ourselves from Russian attacks almost every day. This week alone, there were more than 1,500 strike drones, 1,280 aerial guided bombs, 50 missiles of various types. Thousands of foreign components have been found in this weaponry, more than 132,000 items from many countries: Europe, the United States, China, Japan, and dozens of others. So he's going somewhere with that thought, and that is we count on the 19th EU sanctions package to be truly painful, and the United States to join the Europeans. I thank all those who are already helping. So, I mean, if you're wondering what's powering these strikes, it's all those components. Okay, so this is just a little footage of ATB Corporation confirmed one of its Dnipro warehouses suffered a direct rocket hit during Russia's 20 September strike. That's yesterday. There wasn't a lot to see from today's strikes, but this was from yesterday as well. Interception of Russian cruise missiles by Ukrainian F-16 pilots during today's Russia's mass attack. It's noted that the absolute majority of downed Russian cruise missiles today are the result of the work of F-16 pilots. Just kind of cool to see inside, like what they're actually able to see. It's pretty interesting footage, or just seeing the rocket or the missile, whatever it is, Sidewinder released. Okay, that brings us to today's strikes. There were only 54 attack drones, but again, 33 were suppressed. 21 drones hit targets. That's a 60-something% rate, and that's pretty poor. Russian forces targeted Ukrainian emergency responders with a deadly double attack. And Ukrainian officials said that wounding 2 firefighters in northern region of Chernihiv. These guys do an incredibly dangerous job, and they're as important as any soldier on the front line. Local residents react to the interception of Russian Shahed that attacked Dnipro today. You see this, but I want you to hear it. So let's turn the volume. Whoops. What happened to my? Oh, does this one not have the volume? That's so sad. Yeah, they were cheering in the. Oh, here it is. We cheer on the 4th of July, but that's nothing compared to the joy that these guys are feeling. Russian drones dropped explosives on a civilian vehicle in the middle of a street in Chernihiv region, another blatant attack on non-military targets inside Ukraine. This guy's just driving along, minding his own business, trying to get from point A to point B, and look at that. So, okay, let's look at the battlefield 1010. So let's just, for simple math, use 1,000 as the average of what's been going on. If you go back over the last 100 days, there was about 1,000 per day for the last 100 days as an average. So if it's above that, then we'll know we're higher. If it's below that, we'll know that we're lower. 1 tank off the battlefield, 1 armored fighting vehicle, 25 artillery systems, 77 vehicles and fuel tanks. So again, we just passed the 100,000 mark yesterday since the 1 million mark. And if we go forward and we look at casualties are above 1,000, engagements below average, we know that 1,000 is probably a good number to look at. In 100 days, that is by Monday, December 29th, counting from yesterday, there'll be another 100,000 Russian losses. It's just hard to even fathom or wrap your mind around. Okay, Russia's last foothold in northeastern Ukraine's Sumy is falling. The Sumy offensive was terrible all the way around. I mean, this was disastrous for the Russians. Oklesivka is surrounded on 3 sides. The only supply road is under drone fire. Ukrainian troops are bypassing, isolating, and starving Russian units into collapse. Ukrainian forces advanced in northern Sumy Oblast and near Pokrovsk. And it's not great for the Russians, but they're making a little progress. Kremlin insider statements continue to indicate that Putin remains committed to his strategy that Russian forces will be able to win a war of attrition against Ukraine and the West, and that the West has thus far failed to convince Putin to reevaluate his strategy. So Putin's just going to keep coming. He thinks he can win this thing. Putin has concluded that military escalation is the best way for Russia to force Ukraine into peace negotiations on Putin's terms. The sources stated that Putin assesses that U.S. President Donald Trump is unlikely to do much to bolster Ukraine's defense, and that U.S.-Russian talks in Alaska on August 15th convinced Putin that Trump has no interest in intervening in the war in Ukraine. Convinced a lot of the rest of us, too. Okay, so, yeah. Now, again, back to the battlefield. According to Russian sources, Ukrainian forces have expanded their presence north of Kindrivka toward Konstantinivka. Based on the current assessments, the area in yellow on the map is now very likely under Ukrainian control. So that's progress. The Russian forces are doing something, though. Russian forces advanced in northern Kharkiv Oblast near Liman and Pokrovsk and Novopolivka and Velkomyhalivka. Boy, did I slaughter that one. Velkomyhalivka. Okay, that's almost right. Zelensky had announced the formation of Ukraine's new assault forces built on the success of assault battalions and regiments in 2025. So they're adapting the form. It's going to be a separate force. I'm not sure how much it's going to matter. I know organization does matter. The decision to legally establish assault troops as a distinct military branch reportedly came after Russian forces began copying Ukraine's assault unit system. So it's a separate unit, maybe like the Marines are from the Army or something like that. But I can't gauge how important this is going to be. Italy is meanwhile sending Ukraine battle taxis on steroids. These are M113s wrapped in steel instead of aluminum. Ukrainian medics were sitting ducks in the standard versions. These VCC-1s can stop drone fragments that shred regular armor. So, okay, that's good. Meanwhile, Russians aren't doing quite the same thing. They're sending motorcycle troops to keep hitting Ukraine mine traps. Latest incident, biker speeds toward a gap in an anti-tank trench, hits a mine, explodes in a towering fireball. And this motorcycle thing, I know some of you have argued with me about this and said, no, this is great. This is good for speed. I just see this as highly problematic if you care about your people at all. But of course, they don't really care about their people. So Russian troops are literally dying from tactics detailed in their own military textbook. Ukrainian war correspondent Yuri Butusov put it bluntly, Russian commanders don't care about the endless conveyor belt of death and of the dead and maimed. That seems right when you're sending people on motorcycles into drones. That just That's the only conclusion that I would draw. Russia is struggling to recruit enough contract soldiers to cover its losses, according to Ukraine's Center for Countering Disinformation. Only 37,900 contracts were signed in Q2 of 2025, down 2.5 times from the same period last year and the lowest figure in 2 years, which is why I showed you yesterday the recruiting from Afghan fighters and others from the Middle East trying to bribe them into the military in order to do your dirty work. This guy's lucky. He doesn't look lucky, but he's really lucky. Russian disguised as a Ukrainian soldier was caught in Druzhkivka, about 10 kilometers past the front line on the Ukrainian side. Captured, not executed, the Russian army standard issue belt exposed him. It appears he deserted after being sent on a reconnaissance mission. So he's lucky he's still alive. Good on him. He's out of the fight. He deserted, so he got out of that, and good on him for surviving, and being captured is a lot better than being dead. Darth Putin talks about this from TASS. TASS put this out about how mobilization in Russia is not on the current agenda. Russian presidential spokesperson Dmitry Peskov told the media just before they mobilized. On this day in 2022, after denying it would happen, we mobilized cannon fodder to die for my palaces. I remain a master strategist. Okay, interception of Russian Lancet loitering munition captured by a second interceptor. So the first one's blowing it up and the second one is watching it happen. That drone-on-drone warfare is going to become the norm, not the exception. Right now, it's something that's like really interesting to watch. It'll just become ho-hum. Sunflowers bloom in Donetsk, rising among barbed wire and dragon's teeth. Captured by a journalist, they stand like Ukraine's defenders and remind that land scarred by war still speaks of life. It's kind of an interesting shot, isn't it? This one hurts my heart. Russia's child theft program spans 210 camps across 59 regions, from the Crimea to the Pacific, studies show. Ukrainian kids are renamed, they're Russified, trained with grenades, and in some cases adopted out. One expert calls it demographic conquest. That's what they're doing with Ukrainian children. Okay, this is in the news, and I want to bring it to your attention because I talked about it in a different video, but not a lot of people were watching that just because of the title. So the U.S. sinks another narco boat off the coast of Venezuela. U.S. forces carried out a strike on another drug smuggling vessel that had departed from Venezuela. The boat was destroyed. I talked about Venezuela just the other day with Preston Stewart. Here it is. And not a lot. I get like 2%, or 1/5 of what normally watch this video. But if you want to understand how the United States is pivoting away, not just from Ukraine, but even from China, this is the video that you want to watch, because this matters. Because okay. Last thing I'll leave you with is just this image. I thought, what a great way to end things. And then with that, we'll also talk about our shout out. This shout out goes to Little Bit, Litlbit. Little Bit is a graduate Patreon member, and thank you for your support, and thank the rest of you for this time. Tell me what you thought about what you saw here in this video. I try to read as many comments as I can. Thank you for the time, the likes, the shares, and the subscribes. Thank you for being the kind of person that cares about Ukraine.